Hi guys, I'm Kayli, Kayli Peoples, as you can see. So the first one for this week was half-life, to learn and communicate about the half-life of medications. Um, so the half-life is, or uh, anything can have, well, is going to have a million half-lives. Like nothing can be divided by 2 and equal 0, except for 0 itself. Uh, so a number can have an infinite number of half-lives, although when we're talking about half-lives of medicine, they can have a certain amount of numbers before you can no longer trace them in your system. And so for this, I used when something is about 0.20 milligrams left in your body. After that, we're probably not going to find it in the system. So that's where I got those numbers from. And an asymptote is a line that's a curve. Is a line that a curve approaches as it heads towards infinity. And this one, these are positive because they are never negative, because it never crosses that 0, because you will never divide it in half into 0. The formula I used did not have an E. I know you asked what the E in the formula stands for. I'm assuming that E was referring to the initial amount of it. So in this case, it would be the dosage for each drug. So I used ibuprofen and fexofenadine. I don't know how to say it. It's Allegra. The only 2 medications I even kind of know what they are. I personally don't take very many medicines ever. Like, I'm supposed to be taking Allegra at least twice a day because my allergies are really bad. But I don't, because I just really don't like the fact that it never leaves your body. It really weirds me out. So I only take it if it's really bad, and I only take ibuprofen if I'm dying. So I know nothing about drugs. Other than I know some people on them. I'm sorry, that was probably inappropriate. But the trendline equations are amazing because they will show you the exponential trend without having to find each value, which is really helpful. Like, honestly, my charts, my graph, it ends probably around right here. And I thought about only doing a couple points and then just using the trend line for the rest of it because it's so much easier. But as you can see, I have all of them listed out here for you. And knowing what half-life is helpful, especially when it comes to medications, especially the way I use it is it helps me decide if I want to take that medication or not, and how long it will actively be in my system to know when I could or should take more medicine if I choose to do so. So yeah, that's the half-life. Here's a GMO one. That's fun stuff. This is a correlation between GMO crops and illness in Americans. First, I trust these sources more than the Wikipedia source from the half-life one. And then secondly, I trust the Nancy Swanson more than the second link you shared, just because it seemed kind of sketchy, and I noticed that they used some of the same information from the Nancy Swanson, like they just took it directly from that. And as far as I know, Nancy Swanson could have taken it from somebody else. I don't really know, but they did it in a more professional manner. Yeah, so I trust them. You gave them to us. You obviously believe that there's something trustworthy in it, or you wouldn't be sharing it with a bunch of students. And the difference in correlation and causation. I couldn't read my handwriting. The difference between correlation and causation is that causation means one directly affects the other. Like, if I punch somebody in the face and they have a bruise, I have a black eye, that's because I caused it. it's not like, oh, I punched in the face and I happened to have a black eye. Like, it happened. Well, correlation shows that two things have similar trends, but with no proven correlation, no proven causation. So, like, causation has to be proven, and correlation doesn't, because you're not really proving like this caused it. It just like go in the same trend line, you know. But if you don't know the difference between the two, you might say the wrong thing, or you might just get really confused. Just confusing the two can be very misleading, so it's really important to know the difference. But I would say that the correlation of the GMO crops and illnesses in America is concerning. And it is less concerning to me with the rheumatoid arthritis, because it kind of maybe correlates, but not really. Like, I don't think you're gonna get arthritis because you ate some GMO corn. But the other ones, they do kind of correlate a little more. None of them are direct correlations, like exactly. So like, I don't necessarily think that they're causing it. I definitely think there's been a shift in our society and the standards that we hold in a lot of different things that could be causing some of this. So honestly, I choose to eat mostly organic and natural stuff if I can, and if my bank account affords it. Um, yeah, and if it's just an option, I try to eat more natural produce and things like that than the chemicals. I don't like putting things in my body that aren't natural. Um, but the FDA chooses to avoid the correlation, making the GMOs sound wonderful, because honestly, if you're not looking at these graphs and you don't know that there's any of this correlation, which they don't have to tell you because it's not causation, um, it makes things cheaper and more easily produced. So it makes a lot of sense from a financial standpoint. There's still a lot of research to be done to know whether or not it is truly 100% just as healthy as eating something organic. I don't know if we'll ever find that out, but there's a lot more research to be done in the process to that. But to better assess this information, I would have to do more research, as, like I said, I've never been a big fan of the GMO stuff. So I don't want to make any biased statements that like, oh, GMOs are bad, because I really don't know. But I need to do more research on that. And let's move on to impaired driving. So this is exploring statistics on impaired driving. To me, it is really sad to see that in 2019, we're only halfway through. Like, this is the 6th month out of 12. That is literally half. And we already have more road accident deaths, or road toll, I don't know what you want to call it, this year in 6 months than we had in a whole year for the last 5 years that we have accounted for you. Like, no other year have they had this many deaths, and we are only 6 months in. That's insane. I don't know how to fix that, but then like teach people how to drive. I don't know. Because like there's studies saying that like as the generations come, like people growing up, we don't even drink as much. So like, I know that all older people, millennials and older. I'm not even a millennial. I'm really young. Yeah, but like a lot of us just don't drink. Like, I go out with my friends all the time, and I'm in Nashville, like Party City, and like we don't drink just because like you don't remember it. It's not as fun. So I don't really understand these numbers, but the blood alcohol content is different for everybody. Like how many drinks it takes to get to what. Based on my weight, it should be 2.5 drinks, making it crazy to me how quickly your reaction time supposedly drops compared to this. Yeah, I know, like that's wild. Um, because there was quite a range of reaction times given. Um, let's scroll down. That's those graphs for you. Um, but yeah, so it's the reaction times. I looked up the average SOPA reaction time, and it's between 16 or 0.16 and 0.19 seconds. So even the quickest reaction time with a 0.08 alcohol content is significantly slower, without 1.2 seconds. Um, so yeah, that's crazy to me. But if I had to take like any, I don't know the word. If I had to pull data from my brain about this, um, I would say that the quicker ones are probably men because they just tend to handle alcohol better, and the slower ones are women, which kind of sucks. But guys have a quicker reaction time already, so they get a head start. Plus, they usually have more muscle mass and there's more mass in general. That again helps them handle it better. I'm not saying that there's no that that's cut and dry what it always is, but typically that's kind of how it is. So that's my assumptions on it. And no, I do not think that autonomous cars would fix our driving issues. I've driven one or been behind the wheel of an autonomous, as autonomous as we have road legal right now. Because my uncle has a Tesla and he let me drive it one time. Freaked me the flip out. I don't like not being in control of my car. No. What I think we should do instead is teach people how to drive. We could reinforce driver's ed in our education system. Like, that's not a thing. I never took it. My driver's test, I didn't even leave the parking lot because Arkansas. But like if we put more into teaching people how to drive and actually testing them, we wouldn't have people who don't know how to drive on the roads, and that would help things a lot. Um, yeah, we should just re-implement that and also re-implement morals where people have a value for life and for others and respect of property. Like I feel like people just have no regard for anything other than the moment, like do it for the meme. Like nobody really cares about anything. And so if we could just reinstate morals and reinstate driver's ed, I think these numbers would just drop significantly. Um, let's move on to BMI. So this is exploring statistics of American body mass index and where I rank. So to start, I feel like a chotch because I couldn't find what percent of population is above and below my score, or where to find the numbers for the different standard deviations, and I'm honestly just very confused with the instructions on this portion, just this portion. The other ones made sense. Um, but I will go and go through as much as I have. BMI is a standardized way that we have found to see if someone is at a healthy weight for their height, age, and gender. The confidence interval is basically there to give some wiggle room and the answer like in the BMI, like and all the stuff, almost like a margin of error. And then the Z-score for my BMI and the two of the computer generated BMIs that I used was negative 4.043, meaning that it was less than the mean because two of the scores were significantly less than one of the other ones, so that really threw things off. Had there been bigger range of numbers and a pretty even standard variation, Standard variation. That's not a word. Standard deviation. There we go. Then that number could have been very different, but it's because the majority of the numbers is lower than the mean. And that's because we have like one outlier that's skewed the whole thing. Um, the probability of having a healthy BMI seems to be slim in the United States. Here in Tennessee, 32.8% of the population is obese, not just overweight, but obese. And then the average BMI for the US as a whole is 26.5, which is still considered overweight. It's not quite obese, but it is overweight. Um, so just taking like the standard American who's overweight, that's it makes your chances of being at a healthy weight pretty slim, which makes sense. It's true why our voting system is how it is and why people think what they think about Americans. Yeah, no, I'm at a healthy weight and very, very small in stature, and like I can't find clothes that fit because smalls swallow me. But I can't wear kid sizes because they don't fit the shape of a woman. It's just hard. And I think it's because of our society standards. We just don't, like I said before, we don't really have regard for people or ourselves. So a lot of people don't take care of themselves, which is really sad. And then let's go to the probability, which is the last one for the video. This is measuring probability using normally distributed statistics and exploring skewed data. And so, just looking at the graphs, distribution looks unfair because the top 1% accounts for 36.7% of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 40% only account for negative 0.09%. So it's not even a full percent, which is really kind of tragic. And it didn't make any sense. It's negative, so like it's good. It's not a full percent. It's close. Which means the rich are rich and the poor are poor, basically. Or they're in debt, which is really rough. But what we don't see is how much effort and work and good financial decisions were made by these people. So like I'm very much like you work or you don't eat type person. So like I don't know, if you don't have everything handed to you, I don't have everything handed to me, but I'm making it. I know some people have it worse than me, and like it sucks. But like I am a firm believer of the American dream. My dad's a perfect example of it. Like you can work your butt off and you can have anything you want. There's no limits. There's no ceiling and there's no floor. Like you can just go wherever if you work. But these numbers can't be even across the board because we are not a communist or socialist country. We are not socialist. We are a democracy with a capitalistic economy, meaning that if you don't work, you're not going to have anything to show for it because you haven't worked. And the more you work, the more you're going to have to show for it. You can work yourself to a position where you don't have to do much to make money. And that's great for you. Like you did the work on the back end and now you're getting it. But like if you're never working, like that, you're not going to have any money. Like right now, I am working all the time. Like all the time. I close at the store every night. I just I work all the time and I get paid minimum wage. It feels like I'm going nowhere. But like you gotta start somewhere. Like I'm only gonna go up from here. I'm not gonna allow myself to go back. Hopefully not be working like this my whole life because I've been able to work for it. Sorry, I kind of went on a little rant about that. But 26% of our federal taxes go back to welfare, which is insane to me because I agree we ought to take care of those who are unable to work, but less than 26% of our adult population is unable to work. Like most of us are capable to work to some capacity. Um, so I don't understand like 26% of our taxes are going to that. I think we should take care of those who can't work, but if you can work, you should be working. You shouldn't be getting everything handed to you. And only 4% combined goes to education and research, which again is insane to me because that's our future. Why aren't we investing more in our future than 4%? And then only 8% is going back to retired federal or people who work for federal government and vets. And even less is going to vets, which is sad because they have given so much to each and every one of us. And like we don't do anything for them. I don't get it. And what blows my mind is that only 2% goes to roadwork and transportation related structures. And it's not crazy because like, that's only how much we give. But I know of several different interstate projects that are well over $1 million, multi-million dollar bridges and interstate sections. And if all of that combined, so only 2% of our tax money, it's honestly so much money. Like, wow, 26%, that's billions of dollars. I would keep people at home. But my state taxes primarily go to, let me scroll down. I haven't seen any of this. So this is the federal taxes and how they're distributed. And then this is the state taxes, what I could find. So state taxes primarily go to education, which is good. I like that. And the welfare rate is higher than I would like to see, but it's not as bad as the federal, and so like I'm not super mad about it. Like we got bigger fish to fry, I guess. And then I would like to just add my 2 cents in one last time. If we did not have a tax system, I think our government would become very corrupt, and that the rich would just keep getting richer and the poor would just keep getting poorer in ways that people can't even fathom. People say that that's what's happening right now, and I honestly just do not believe that to be true. But if we didn't have a tax system, I do believe that that would be true because we wouldn't have a public education system, we wouldn't have public transport, we wouldn't have public anything. Everything would be private because where would that money be coming from otherwise? So like that means only the rich people are gonna get an education, only the rich people are gonna go to college, only the rich people are gonna have cars. Like it's just gonna that divide would get so much bigger. So like, I think the tax system is very important, but we should definitely reevaluate where that goes. And like I said, I think more of it should be going to our education and to our research because that is our future. So with that, I am done with this report. Hold on while I stop this. But yeah, thanks for watching.